Okay, so we just talked about my manifestation process. Visualize, embody, surrender. And so we really talked about how a huge part of manifestation is about taking aligned action towards your goals. And we can't just sit around visualizing and thinking about what we want, expecting that it's all just going to happen. Although that's a huge piece of the process, we really need to take aligned action. And that's why goal setting is something that can be really, really useful, but it's also something that can hold us back sometimes. And so I'm going to give a quick lesson on goal setting and my process for goal setting, and just a few things to keep in mind when you are setting goals and when you are just coming up with a plan of action. I want to make sure that you have these really crystal clear intentions, but that you're also able to just go with the flow and take those divine aligned opportunities when they appear. So to have a goal is to have a desire and the intention to do something about it. A really good goal involves purpose, intention, and action. That's why these three elements are really important. So aligned action. Manifestation and divine transformation take place when your purpose, your intentions, and your actions align. And so here I just shared a picture of Eureka Studio, which is one of my vacation rental properties in Pittsburgh, Mount Washington neighborhood. And I just wanted to share this picture because there is just so much value in having an intention, but kind of being okay with, the plans changing a little bit. I ended up having this, this goal to open a studio, and I was able to do it, but then it actually ended up not really being something sustainable to use as a photography studio. And so I kind of ended up allowing my intentions to change a little bit and my goal to change. And we instead decided to put this house that I had designed for photography onto Airbnb. So I did get a chance to renovate everything, decorate everything. I had a friend who also had lots of extra freedom that summer who helped me paint and put in new floors, and we had so much fun. And I did get a chance to use it for photography for that first few months after it was ready. But then we moved into 2021. All of those weddings that I had on my calendar the year before, were starting to pop up again. They were rescheduled into the following year. Our wedding was rescheduled into the following year. And so I ended up having a really booked calendar in 2021, and I didn't have that chance to use the studio in that way that I had expected. So we pivoted, and we actually ended up adding the studio to Airbnb, adding the house to Airbnb. And it's just turned into this really successful, super passive form of income. And so although it was an intention and a goal that I brought to life, the purpose behind it, the purpose to be able to share this space, to allow others to use it, actually, really kept me going. I wasn't defeated in that, I just created this thing and now I don't have the time to use it. Because my purpose was so strong, because my purpose was to create this space that I could share with others and other photographers and allow them to come in and use it, or other people visiting Pittsburgh to come in and stay, it actually ended up turning out even better than my mind could have ever really anticipated. And so this is why I think it is so important that we remember that purpose is such a key role in goal setting. And so I created just kind of a little visual representation here of how I want you to be working on your goal setting. I want you to really think about your purpose first, that mission statement, that really big idea or that big dream, how you want to feel. And, so my purpose in opening a studio was to have this really creative space that I could use to create, that I could welcome other people into to create, and to be able to share this space with people. And so then my intention sparked from there. The intention was to, turn this house that I found into a studio so that I could have this creative workspace that I could share with others. And so then I took action towards that. My actions stemmed from that original purpose, that intention. And then my action was to buy this house, was to then refurbish and remodel the house and to get it ready to be used as a photography studio. And now, what I really want to share, why I'm sharing this story, is that, a lot of the time, things don't really go to plan. Things happen that we don't expect exactly. And so those intentions can really change as we kind of take that action and as we start to evolve and as the circumstances of life change. And so purpose is really key. Purpose is going to provide direction when we're working towards a goal or a desired outcome. And so setting and checking in with our goals regularly gives us a way to evaluate our progress. But I want to make sure that you're not holding so tight to that specific intention or that specific desired outcome that you have when you're setting goals, that you really focus on your purpose. And I want you to think of your purpose as your North Star and allow your intentions to ebb and flow with the seasons of life. This is going to keep you on track and motivated even when the unexpected happens. And so just make sure that you are willing to pivot, to shift, and keep checking in with those goals and keep checking in with those intentions, but don't worry so much if, things don't go exactly to plan. I think it's pretty clear, especially after we've all gone through this global pandemic together, we realized that a lot of things don't go to plan. And so I had to, cancel my wedding and my honeymoon, or I guess I should just say cancel my honeymoon. We haven't rescheduled the trip to Rome or Italy that we wanted to take or that was already in the works. But we postponed our wedding, and it all worked out for the better. But so I want to move on to the next slide here where I talk a little bit about inspired action. So the difference between aligned action and inspired action. So inspired action has a really clear purpose and you're taking action, but you might not have a crystal clear intention yet. So when that's the case, when you're not actually sure of where you're headed, but you still have this kind of strong purpose, I want you to just be able to trust your gut and go with the flow. So do what feels right. Inspired action is a really great place to start, but keep in mind that if you're not really in tune with your highest self, and you don't have that crystal clear vision yet for what you're actually trying to create with your action, you could be going really fast in the wrong direction. And just a quick example of that for me, when I started my videography business, and I started learning how to use my camera to take photos, and I was in this place where I was bartending, I was waitressing, and I was really able to share what I was up to. And I was starting to feel so passionate about this work that I was doing that I actually ended up turning my hobby into something that really started to drain me. So I was so passionate about it. I was so excited. I was talking about it all the time, and I was really opening myself up to clients, and I wanted to build my portfolio. So I started just saying yes to every opportunity that came along. And I didn't have a really clear goal or vision for, creating a business. I was just kind of really working from inspired action. And so at the end of the day, I ended up really kind of burning myself out and draining myself by really immersing myself in this wedding industry that really kind of consumed my schedule for the next few years. And I didn't have a lot of freedom to continue to just bring my camera around for fun, to document my own life, to just take photos of my friends. And so that's why I just want to say be careful, because we can get so excited about something and we just start to take really fast action, which is awesome. It's great. I absolutely encourage you to do that because there's always going to be a learning experience. I just think that sometimes it could end up taking us a little bit longer and sometimes in a roundabout way to get to where we really wanted to go. And so that's why having a clear intention is really a smart idea, and to really make sure you're embodying all of those three elements: purpose, intention, and action. And so course correction. Just a reminder, don't be afraid to reevaluate. This is your life after all, and you're in control. So if you ever find that a goal that you're working towards doesn't quite line up with your dreams or the feelings that you hope to manifest in your life, remember that it's okay to pivot. You are constantly growing and changing as a human being, so it only makes sense that your goals and your dreams will change along with you. And it's inevitable that some of the plans that you've made aren't going to work out. Some of them aren't going to be completely necessary. Some of them you're going to find just weren't actually aligned with that purpose or your dharma. So how are you ever going to figure that out if you don't take action? Don't worry, take action, take that inspired action. Just keep asking yourself what you want, why you want it. And when you find the answer, just make sure you're keeping that at the forefront of every decision you make, and you're going to be on the right path. You've probably heard the saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish, but I prefer to say a plan without a purpose is a waste of time. And so if you're somebody who sets a lot of resolutions, like say, at the beginning of a new year, you're kind of like a New Year's resolution kind of person. I often find that like when we set resolutions, we don't always follow through with them. It can be really hard to stick to. And I think a big reason is because by definition, a resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something, the decision to take some kind of action. And so often I think that we're so focused on our actions themselves that we lose sight of why we made the decision to take those specific actions in the first place. So something like, I want to stop smoking. That is a resolution, the intention to take some sort of action. But if you don't have a really clear purpose for that, if your purpose, is something like, I want to be healthy. I want to make sure that I am strong and that I'm feeling really good. That purpose is what's going to really be our driving force. And that's going to allow us to keep going. And that's what's really going to help to make sure that we don't, kind of drift off and just forget about those resolutions. That's what's going to help us actually stick to them. But I also just want to say that like, this can also be kind of like what I ended up doing in my business. So for a little while, because I didn't have this crystal clear purpose of wanting to create more freedom in my life, and that's why I really wanted to start this business where I was the boss and I could create my own schedule, I started saying things like, I want to make sure I have this many weddings on my calendar so that I could leave this waitressing and bartending and nannying job. And those were all things that actually made me really happy and that gave me more freedom than I realized. They provided a lot of cash flow and I didn't have to think so hard about it. But I set these resolutions for my business. I want to make sure that I have this many weddings on the calendar. And I ended up really booking myself up and feeling really drained. And so Making plans and sticking to them will certainly get you somewhere, but at the end of the day, when you arrive at your destination, are you actually going to be happier than when you started? And so that's why I think purpose is so important. Getting really clear on our purpose before we start to make any goals or resolutions or taking any of these big drastic actions, making sure that we have that really clear purpose behind everything that we're doing is going to keep us on the right track. And so that's why we want to really get clear about that and continue to check in and set goals. They are so valuable. And I'm a huge goal setter. But I've learned to be able to kind of release my attachment to those specific outcomes that I am kind of shooting for, and just leaning more into that purpose behind it, and realizing that there are always going to be so many different ways that I can actually achieve that purpose of feeling more fulfilled, feeling more free, feeling more alive and excited for everything that I'm doing. A quick reflection question for you. Can you think of an example from your life when you stuck to your resolutions, or you followed through on a plan and you achieved this goal, but at the end of the day, when all was said and done, you felt really burnt out or unsatisfied and unsure of what to do next? And so, just one last reminder before we move on to the topic of Dharma and purpose. Your goals aren't the end, they are simply a means to an end. So, don't wait until you've reached your destination or the one that you think that you're shooting for to celebrate. Enjoy life to the fullest. Relish in every little tiny victory. Every step you get a little closer to that dream life that you're creating, I want you to celebrate. And I also want you to remember to rest. Rest when you're tired. There's no rush. So take your time, hold tight to your purpose when the going gets tough, and look for the beauty in all of it, because there are going to be things that happen that don't align with your plans. And, if we stay open to all of the possibilities, if we can find the beauty and the good in those situations, and we can really focus on the silver linings, and we can ask, what lesson did we learn from this? Or maybe, what sign was the universe trying to send me here? Was it trying to redirect me? And we can actually end up finding that there was something way better than we ever could have imagined that was supposed to happen for us. So just keep that in mind. And we are going to move on to the topic of Dharma.